And we are
live.
Oh, that was so good.
That was in sync. How are you, Dan?
I'm zen.
You're zen.
I'm working on zen this week. That's
Good.
my thing this week to work on.
Well,
Zen, inner peace, not swearing at groups of children.
Well, the kids have gone back to school now. That's something. So you have that less stressful thing to worry about. You don't have to be fighting anymore at work, but we do need to be fighting this month for the movies, don't we? For the month that is fighting February, we're seeing it out. This month went really quick, didn't it?
Well, it is the shortest month of the year.
Yeah.
To be fair.
But even then, it still felt like it was really. Phew. And that's why we're doing a double feature today, aren't we? Because we missed out last week.
We did. Oh, I can't blame you this time, can I?
No, it was your fault.
No.
Yep, it was all your doing.
It's normally always your fault.
That's true. But on this occasion...
But anyway, a mutual friend got married last week.
Yes.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. Shout out to Harry Chittenden and Mylene Chittenden, who got married back on Tuesday last week. So all the best for them.
And here we are.
Talking about violent films to celebrate.
We'll get married one day, Tommy. I just can't promise that it's going to be in this country.
Not to each other, right?
It depends how desperate we get. Let's move on from that, though, and get on with our two
nightmare
movies.
And so we will be starting, Dan, by talking about The Equalizer. This is a film that came out in 2014.
Wow.
The whole concept of badass skilled ex-soldier versus mafia, cartels or terrorists has been done to death at this point. I mean, films like Taken and that, you know what I'm talking about, right? You know, like films where it's Die Hard as well, one man against like a big group of bad guys, you know. It's
pretty much how they base nearly every video game ever made.
Pretty much, yeah. You know, but it's been done to death, which made it all the more surprising that I had a real blast watching this film. My brother caught this film on television one time and explained the plot to me, and this is the best way... This is one of the best explanations of a movie plot I've ever heard, and it's from my brother who's not even a movie fan.
Okay.
He said, basically, this retired Marine has a job at like a B&Q warehouse store and gets involved in something personal to him which sets the badass off, and he goes around killing all the bad guys with DIY tools. Needless to say, my brother isn't much of a movie guy. But I
get so nervous when I
my brother's synopsis did pique my interest. The hilarious mention of B&Q alone.
It's piqued mine, yeah, I know.
I mean, it's not B&Q. It's the American equivalent of B&Q where he works, but I don't know what that's... I can't remember.
Howdens?
Maybe. Wait, it might... hold on. I'm going to just find it.
It's Howdens. I'm sure it is. You carry on with the review, I'll find it.
No, yeah, we have Howdens here, don't we?
Do we?
Yeah, I think we do. Yeah, The Equalizer, on the plot, retired, lives in Boston, works at a big box home improvement store.
It's non-branded.
Typical.
Anyway, carry on, because we're not reviewing
DIY
stores.
I'm digressing. Denzel Washington is quite the Hollywood legend, and he is clearly playing to his strengths in this film. Being 60 years old at the time of the film's release, he knows when to pull the intensity back and when to let it loose.
Nice.
Throughout this film, I just kept thinking about how I was having a much better time than if I was watching John Wick or one of its sequels. Don't get me wrong, John Wick 1 is a good film, and I would rate it the same as this one, but there are comparisons between the two that cause me to favour The Equalizer. John Wick is about a 50-year-old retired badass going after criminals who killed his dog, whilst The Equalizer is about a 60-year-old retired badass who makes changes to good people's lives whilst punishing the bad people in a retail store, which makes it all the more I just love it that it's in a B&Q environment. Attention
customers.
Yes, yeah.
Please make your way out of the garden centre and over to kitchens.
The latter just sounds more oddly fun to me, personally. The supporting cast were good in this film too. Chloe Grace Moretz, Bill Pullman and Melissa Leo work well as brief but noteworthy characters that help Robert McCall through the tough times. In opposition, you have Martin. His name is Martin. I may be pronouncing this wrong because he is a New Zealand actor. His name is Martin Koskis, I want to say. He is from a little film that I know called The Lord of the Rings.
Not heard of that one.
And he is known for saying the very memeable line, Tell me where is Gandalf, for I much desire to speak with him, which was in They're Taking the Hobbits to Isengard. You remember that, right?
I remember that.
Yeah, so he's famous for
I
that.
didn't see it that long ago.
Oh, yeah, I know. You know, he plays the lead bad guy, and David Harbour bringing some what the fuck attitude to the stuff he witnesses in the film as well is always great. The use of Zach Hemsey's Vengeance track during the final warehouse showdown sequence was inspired. Really brings out the last stand aspect of the scene as McCall home alones the bad guy's butts big time. Like he booby traps the whole store with like nail guns and like, you know, what else?
Well, they've got the stock for it.
Yeah, like and screws and nails and everything. He absolutely home alones the fuck out of it, and it's so badass and cool.
Explains why whenever I go in there, I can't find those items.
That's true. Yeah. Cashier number 5, please. So, to close, The Equalizer was a lot of dumb action fun. The runtime could have been trimmed a good 20 minutes or so, but ultimately...
Don't you start with that.
Yeah,
don't
you know what I'm like when it comes to the runtime. If it drags on too long, it's just too noticeable.
Yes, I know.
Yes, I know. But ultimately, you get what you come for with a movie like this. One man against many, which makes it an unfair fight for them. Literally, the sequence when he takes them all down in the in the store. It's like putting a lion in the store with a bunch of zebra. Literally, like he just takes them out one by one. It's great. So on that note, Dan, I'm giving The Equalizer 3.5 stars out of 5. Ooh. A very good watch. A very, very entertaining watch. But let's move on to something better.
Well, hang on. What held back from a higher rating than that?
It's silly. It's very silly. I like it because it's silly, but ultimately you can't. I just can't. There's, you know, the runtime is a bit draggy, and like there's side stories as well that don't really get fully developed. But you know, like you get what you come for with the action. That's what I'll leave that with.
Fair.
But let's move on to a better film called Fight Club, which came out in 1999. Is it on in the background? Have you got this on? I
have not.
Did you do that with the previous film?
I can't do 2 films.
Oh yeah, okay. So you'll be missing the film, but you know, yeah, under normal circumstances.
On the plus side, we're not going to get done for copyright tonight.
That's true. Yeah, that's good.
Yay!
Good. Finally, I've finally seen another one of those. Oh my god, you need to see this film kind of films.
Okay.
This is one of those films. Fight Club is pretty damn incredible, from its themes on social order to its themes on what makes a life worth living. David Fincher went on record saying this film was basically The Graduate for people in their 30s. When life isn't offering you anything, what lengths will someone go to find purpose in their own existence? Will you rebel against the social norms, or will you submit and fall in line with the rest? Ed Norton and Brad Pitt obviously steal the show in their leading roles as very different people who shouldn't be in each other's company, but the fact that they are is what offers so much entertainment to the film. There are some great themes of the id, ego, and superego psychic analogy between the two of them. I won't go too much into that, but the narrator's superego structure and Tyler Durden's id structure offers the most complex part of the story. So, to give you a brief idea of what the id, ego, and superego are, it's the analogy that there's a type of person who acts on their primal instincts. So, like, if they want to go out and party and get drunk all the time, that's exactly what they do. They go out and have fun. Then there's the middle part, which is the person who wants to do that, but keeps in check and keeps and you know, abides by societal norms.
Me and you, basically.
Yeah, and then
I like how you just go, yep.
And then on the other side of that, you've got someone who's entirely slaved to the social norms, you know, and being normal, being sensible, basically you, to be honest, you know, in certain aspects.
Yeah, certain.
Yeah, in certain aspects.
Certain.
Helena Bonham Carter's character is also interesting as she mirrors the narrator's life completely at the start of the film and horrifies him because he is reminded of his loneliness and unhealthiness whenever he is around her. I like a film that contains aspects of the coming-of-age trope, and this film does that impeccably through its comedy, drama, and violence. So there's not really much else I can say about rule number 1, Dan, about Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club. So
you're breaking some rules.
We're breaking the
tonight.
rule, man. We're breaking the rule. So to close, I can't really talk about Fight Club much without getting into spoiler territory. This is one of those films where there's a major twist at the end. So I can't go into that. So I'll summarize it by saying you'll have a good time watching it. It has a good commentary on societal structure, witty written dialogue, and also you get Meatloaf in the film with tits, which is something I never knew I needed to see, Dan.
I didn't know I needed to see that.
Yes.
And I do now.
Yeah. It's worth watching the movie for alone. So on that note, I'm going to give Fight Club, Dan, 4 stars out of 5 because it's better than the previous film.
It had tits in it.
Yep, and they'll get to scratch that off the old chart when we go downstairs.
You do.
But this is another month done with, Dan.
That's mad.
We are moving on to the ka-chings, the big bucks, the big kahunas next month. We're talking about the films that made big bucks, as Al would say.
That better be in there.
In Toy Story 2.
I'd better be in there if
It's
you know what's good
there.
for you.
It's going to be there.
I'll tell you what, I'm really looking forward to it.
No. And guys, you know where you can follow us. Letterboxd. That's the place to be.
And that's the tag.
Larkins95, Dan Moore Radio. You guys know how to find us. Please do.
You're
find
flowing
us.
naturally with that now.
I am. Yeah, it's like water off a duck's back. Anyway,
Okay.
I look forward to seeing you guys next week, and I'm sure Dan does as well.
It's all I think about.
Absolutely, all the time.
It keeps me up at night.
Yeah, naturally. But no, you guys have a great week, and I'll see you next week. All the best.
All the best, everyone. Take care.